hotel. And this is going to be your Tapachula / Guatemala border tour. Come on, what bilingual correspondence career would be complete without the big show of we here in Tapachula, we in the border. Well, I'm going to show you the border. The whole idea is to do it right at daybreak. So you're going to get the live shot as I walk out of my hotel, and we're going to go over to the border, which is really right over here. I don't want to stick this out the window very far, but uh, the river and the day is breaking. If you can see that tower, stay with me, everybody. I have to set a data limit most of the time, and I forgot to turn it off. So here's what I was going to tell you before we make our stroll outside. Here in front of the OXXO, we have to wait till 0600 or they won't give us any coffee at the OXXO. But at 4 o'clock in the morning, these taxi cabs started lining up outside of that OXXO. So there are buses lined up on the street. There are colectivos that run all the time. But as far as the migrant trafficking, what you're looking at right there is the high-grade clients transportation. Yeah. This is Calle Central Sur. And we are not in Tapachula, all right? Tapachula is a major city, and it does not border Guatemala. You have to go about 40 kilometers. So this is the Hidalgo border, and then there's another Suchiate town, which is named after the Suchiate River, which is the border here. All right, one more little quick thing. I'm going to show you that on the map, and then we're going to get in a very fast morning Bible study. I will not burden you with watching my morning exercise. I did that. Okay. I did that before you showed up. So here we go. Here is the border between Mexico and Guatemala. Now, all of this is border too, but this is jungle. Bad, serious heights. As you're going, my slide is the roadblock between here. Some people want their new water plant. They say black water is being discharged into the bay, so they decided they'd block the highway, and now it's been blocked for 3 or 4 days. And I had to jump that blockage, which I successfully did. The Mexicans are very resourceful people, and even though that may stop the migrants and stop the bus lines, the Mexican people figured out a way around that very quickly. I had to jump to 4 different combis and drive on the wrong side of the road and everything else. It was a little adventure that I'll never forget. But as you go along here, on really what's the Pan American Highway, as you go along here, this is huge mountains. Just a massive mountain range behind another massive mountain range, and then it only goes up from there. So once you get to Tapachula, and this may be a little bit small on the map, you have to go over to these border towns. So that's where we are right now. All right. And of course, on the entire map of Mexico, we're talking about right here, or right here in this border region. All right. So we'll get ready to put that away. And today, my Bible study, and as Living by the Sword, my radio show that broadcasts every Monday throughout North and South America and the Caribbean, as I get ready to go to a live show every day, I'm really thinking about going into a new theme, and that new theme is going to be how much more militant the Bible is than what we see in English. Of course, I read the Bible in Spanish pretty commonly, and I don't want to teach anyone to mistrust their weapon, but we all need to know that there are higher places that we can go and that there are limitations to it. So I'm just going to read you this psalm, the first verse in Spanish versus English. This is Psalm 58. If you just want to see the border, feel free to skip ahead, but you're going to miss a great teaching on self-government and self-defense. Okay, here's Psalm 58:1 in the King James. Do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge uprightly, O ye sons of men? Okay, speak righteousness. Yeah, great. You know, we all want to talk nice. We all want to tell the truth. Don't want to lie, right? Okay, that's great. We should speak righteousness. Let's just see what the Spanish says. O congregación, pronunciáis en verdad justicia. Congregation. This is like a jury returning a verdict. Jury, have you given a true verdict of judgment? Congregation, did you pronounce a just verdict in truth? Verdict actually means true saying. So this has to do with the common people passing judgment. All right, what's next? Juzgáis rectamente, hijos de los hombres. Did you judge uprightly, children of men? So this here we actually have the word righteousness, but it has to do with did you judge in righteousness? Okay, so all that's missing in Psalm 58:1, and we could just think this is about us telling the truth in our daily life. No, this is about telling the truth in judgment when we return a verdict. Do you indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do you judge uprightly, O sons of men? Pretty weak. It's pretty weak in the English. And these are things that even though England was the first Protestant nation and King James did a great deal to authorize a Bible version and to stand up to the Pope, at the same time, the Bible is such a revolutionary text that he was afraid of it. He was afraid that if he released it in its full power, that it would loosen his grip on the throne. A reasonable concern. And so now we have to dig a little deeper to rediscover those truths. And I think that's really going to be my theme if I'm able to launch to a 5-day show live and take call-ins. So pray with me for that. Believe God with me for it. Let's run through this psalm. Verse 2, so judging uprightly, the jury returning a right verdict. And then it tells that this is the benchmark for a civil society that functions. Yea, in heart ye work wickedness, ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. Okay, there's wickedness in the earth, and that's why, because you haven't judged it. Wow. Everybody thought God was going to come save them. The wicked are estranged from the womb. Then he talks about, the psalmist tells, and this is David's psalm, the psalmist tells about how the wicked are castaways and need to be destroyed. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Think of that when we run into some of these people today. Now, there's some victims out here, and there's some persecuted people and some human beings in a very sad state. In fact, it's demoralizing and depressing to be around them. But I want you to see that many of the people we're dealing with are the wicked, and that this is their prescription. Verse 4, their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear, which will not hearken to the voice of the charmer, charming never so wisely. Break their teeth, O God, in their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Lord. Let them melt away as waters which run continually. When he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows, let them be as cut in pieces. So, hey, the Lord's going to help us with this. As a snail which melteth, let every one of them pass away, like the untimely birth of a woman, that they may not see the sun. Isn't that wild? You thought Colonel Kurtz came up with that snail on the edge of a straight razor. Well, it's here in the psalm that the snail melts away, and so are the wicked. Before your pots can feel the thorns, he shall take them away, as with a whirlwind, both living and in his wrath. Oh, they'll get sucked down live to the grave. Isn't that fantastic? And this is the same imagery that we see in Ecclesiastes. Of course, that was written by Solomon and later, but let's just look at that in Ecclesiastes 7 and 6. So he may have got this from his pops. For as the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This also is vanity. So fools laugh And here's what Solomon is saying, that sound of their laughter is like the thorny wood that's underneath of a pot. Those thorns are destined to be burned. They're going to be burned. And when we burn them, fools laugh at us. It's just part of life. But their time is very, very short. They're not going to be around for very long. Verse 10, the righteous shall rejoice. Woo-hoo! When he seeth the vengeance, he shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. Wow, that's a good one. So that a man shall say, verily there is a reward for the righteous. Verily he is a God that judgeth in the earth. Yes, that's what our God does, is judges in the earth. He's not going to let the wicked get over on us, not for very long, if we believe, if we return a true verdict. I know that hurts people's feelings, but they need to just stay on the right side of the law most of the time. If I don't keep a little holster for my Bible, it'll just get terribly ruffled. Okay, so you're going to just see how this works. So we pack up and move out. Let's take one more peek out the window. Sky's getting blue. We'll see if my cup of coffee actually happens or not. Alright. Good, baby. We worship you, Lord God Almighty. The African preacher said, we honor God. That's what they do in Africa. They honor him. It's funny, but you know, I've been taught and discipled by a lot of people, and it's amazing how I hear their voice in my head. All right. Wow, what a beautiful sunrise. Okay, let's go see what's going down at the border town. I'm just going to make sure that this is zoomed all the way out. I will take questions, so feel free to just pass them my way. Some heathen idolatry. We bind all that in the name of Jesus. Boy, the guy was here just smearing the holy water all over when I showed up. We have power to rebuke all that in Jesus' name, and we do it. All right. Time to wake up, everybody. Time to wake up. Buenos días, Doña. Look, they got a little man from La Mancha. That's the theme here, is the man from La Mancha. So I did not get my 5-star, 1-star recommendation that I asked for from Michael Jan, so I had to find my own. There it is. So the barkers are hollering at Tapachula can be reached. block all the thieves back out of my hotel. Okay. Let's just see. You know, this whole area was full of communist hippies 25 years ago. And lo and behold, they have expanded their communist hippieism into migrant trafficking. Alright, so I want to talk a little bit about the Mexican president and him being part of the solution. So that's going to be a recurring theme in our broadcast this morning, along with maybe getting arrested or getting my ass kicked as I'm out here live streaming down the street. The Mexican president believes that it's people's right to move from place to place, to work wherever they like. And that's one thing. When Ronald Reagan said people have the right to protest, and that's okay, it's constitutionally guaranteed. But when a domestic movement becomes an agent of a foreign power, that is something else entirely. See all those people sitting around? It is 0600, and that is what we got going on here. Buenos dias. So being in Chiapas, you know, it's the best coffee in the world, I think. And it may be a shame to drink coffee from someplace else, but this brand is all Mexican. De vasos no hay, joven. No, bien. I gotta ask for my cup. Pues mediano, un grande, está bien.
Mediano, grande.
Grande.
¿Cuántos?
Nada más uno. Muy amable. So this brand, Andati, is all Mexican, and they sell it at Oxxo, and it's pretty good. Okie dokie. Americano, Regularo, Grande, and check. So even though it's not all Chiapas coffee, it is all Mexican, and it's pretty good. The only thing that's rough about it is it's probably going to be too hot for me to drink. I'm going to get a new bottle of water. El agua ligera, marca Bonafont. So they got these huge tanks where all the migrants are just filling up their water jugs. I think it's gross. Alright, I'm going to pay the bill here. like some blue, yellow, and red money. So yeah, they fill up their water bottles just from these huge tanks, like who knows what from who knows where. So Mexicans all know that you have to drink purified water. You got to be very, very deep in the jungle of a primitive tribe for them to not do that. So for these guys to just fill up their water bottles anywhere, I was slightly grossed out by that. It's like a hog trough. I mean, it's a potable water tank. It maybe comes from a purified source, maybe. Put a little cool water in my coffee. Maybe it'll be pretty cool. It's still hot, but better. We'll hydrate. Get rid of this one. What up, Nike? Almost there. Claro que sí. Café de café. Almost there. ¿Y de tapitas? This is the fajilla, which is kind of the same word for a girdle or a lady's corset. All right. I decided I'm going to take you the back way, which will slightly lessen the likelihood of getting killed. In this broadcast. So that's what we're going to do. We got a nice sunrise. A dawn at least. There we go. There's our nice dawn. All right. So it's only 200 yards to the river over this berm that I just showed you.
15 días de saldo por 100 pesos. Telcel, 400 megas, 7 días de saldo por 50 pesos. Movistar.
Of course, you see that only just a very few minutes after 6 a.m. the town is rocking. And it's not like Distrito Federal. It's not like everybody's going to work, right? Not at all. It's a very different thing. So the Mexican president believes that people have a right to migrate, but I would say that according to the words of Ronald Reagan, A person migrating is very different from a massive $400 million non-governmental organization that is enticing and training and trafficking people into a migration situation. And that's what we have right here. One thing that we see a lot of is oficiales. There are a lot of powerful organs of the government that could crack the whip, and they're beginning to keep these people out of Mexico. See, this is what Donald Trump did, is he called the Guatemalan president and said, hey, you got to stop these people, man. And he's the only guy that actually sent out his military, loaded up the migrants onto buses and military trucks at gunpoint, an actual arrest, and hauled them back to his southern border. Of course, he's gone now. The commies took over through a very suspect electoral process that was challenged every step of the way, from the party being illegitimate and foreign funded, the Semilla party, to the candidate needing to be in jail instead of on the street, to the actual counts. It's one thing after another. All right, I'm going to be quiet here for a minute. It's because it draws huge attention walking down the street speaking English. Fantastic. Fantastic. Buenos días. Gotta serve the porta potties. Just one of the huge cottage industries that's come out of this. Okay, so if you see that river, that is the Chiapas River. That is the Guatemala-Mexico border. So we love Guatemala. It's communist now. Without a shooting revolution, the chances of them actually helping us to curtail migration is almost zero at this point. There's dogs on the street everywhere here. Alright, so these rafts go back and forth. If you can see the raft over there, costs 100 pesos, so it's about $6 for a raft ride across to Guatemala. And you can also see that this river has been heavily engineered to make it easy for that to happen. Look, here's a little sheltered bay to land the raft after crossing the current on the Mexico side. I mean, you don't want anybody to slip and fall. And I'll comment further in a moment. My coffee is cool enough to drink. Alright. That was the hairiest part. Just going straight past the National Guard, the military barracks. I don't know if you saw on camera the soldier pull up his face cover as I came up with the camera, and all the migrants. Of course, it's a lot busier at night. Years ago, my dad was going to go inspect a property called Arsenal in Rock Island across the Mississippi, and that was the worst, roughest neighborhood in Rock Island. All of these stores sell stuff to be taken on those little rafts across to Guatemala, because Mexico's economy is much stronger and more stable. These stores will take either currency, but they really don't want the American dollar. I asked this guy, let's take a little ride. Vamos a por una vuelta.
¿Dónde?
¿Me lleva?
Sí, cómo no, vámonos.
Pues, ¿sabe qué?
Cuando esté libre.
Pasamos el pasaje oficial aquí y luego a calle Segundo y Central donde salen los combis.
Ajá.
Por favor. So we're going to take a little bicycle ride here. Diga su nombre.
Juan Meneses Velázquez. Mi nombre es Juan Meneses Velázquez.
This is Juan Velasquez. Happy to serve you. One more thing that's, business is a booming. You speak some English?
Ajá.
Speaks a little English. Okay, so I asked my dad, I said, hey, aren't you afraid to go over and inspect Arsenal courts? And he says, nah, you just go at 9 o'clock in the morning when all the crooks are sleeping. And sure enough, that's what he did. Went in there. I got my glasses on so I can see if anybody has a question. Vamos todo derecho.
Sí.
We're going to pass the official border crossing because just like the USA, right up from the concertina wire is the official border crossing. And that official border crossing is where everybody is supposed to go and where the organs of government are supposed to, enforce their regulations. Such is life. And they've got it all painted in oro and guinda, in gold and burgundy, the colors of the new government, of AMLO's government. He's just finishing up his 6-year term. So let's see this. Vamos para allá.
Sí.
What do I think? I think that this is one of many rogue arms of the Mexican government that the president does not fully control at this point. And in his 6-year term, he's drained a lot more swamp than Trump ever could in 4, than any president could in 4. But there's still some aspects that are not completely under his control. And that's probably one of them. But at the same time, we need international agreements to freeze the funds of these troublemakers. Una cuadra más donde se moran los rojos, por favor. And that's what happened under Trump, is these massive aid organizations that were involved in trafficking and such, like in Guatemala, for example, their funding was cut off. And what did Trump do? Build new containment facilities, judges, courts, and places for people to live. Aquí en Poste Los Rojos está bien. Then Biden comes in. What do you think happens? All the government cheese goes to the other guy. It goes to support trafficking and support suspect elections. ¿Cuánto sería?
20?
20 bucks?
20.
$1. ¿Cómo le gusta el dólar? ¿Cómo le gusta el dólar americano?
¿Dólar?
$1 es $1,
Sí.
pero no vale igual.
No, no vale, vale.
Ah. Bonito día. Dios me
Igualmente,
bendiga.
thank you.
I have a lot more commentary, so we're not going to walk around anymore, but I have a lot more to say about the solutions, the ways to cause this. Sí, ¿podré subir por adelante?
Claro, hermano, ¿cómo no?
Muy
Aquí
amable.
el cliente paga y el que quiera maírse,
Sí.
encaramado.
Súper bien. All right. So I got my spot right by the guy in charge.
Mucho tiempo.
Estoy comentando al mundo. ¿Qué opina? Not super happy to be recorded. So here we are on the bus line, another cottage industry. A lot of people are going to work. So you'll get to see a little bit of Hidalgo here as we crank it up and roll out of town. It'll probably get too loud to record, but see, this is solution number one, is to cut off the funding. Now, the historic U.S. process for cutting off funding is very simple. This is why the U.S. banking system has been such a powerful tool, and the SWIFT system, and the ability of the U.S. to sanction governments and individuals. In Haiti, the Biden administration is sanctioning all of the bad guys that are total globalists, and then that makes it, I mean, they are sanctioning the elected representatives and letting the globalists off the hook. So this is who's running Haiti right now. Like Ariel Henry, he's the globalists' man. He was never elected. That's a long story, but it's a good illustration of how the U.S. power of sanctioning is being misused. All the elected senators that the people of Haiti actually elected, before we got to this point where there was talk of an armed intervention, the U.S. sanctioned all of those guys. So I'm going to wrap this up so we can get on the road here, but I just want to say that cutting off the funding is job one. Job two, then, is the U.S. having a government that's actually trying to solve problems instead of create them, and making deals with other governments. And you know, you see these National Guards standing around. Not long ago, when Trump was in office, Trump and AMLO made a deal, and Trump and all those National Guards went to work, man, stopping migration. So, just a thought. You can cut off the funding, make international deals to help one another to stop this, and it doesn't take very long at all to do it. All right, Pastor Sam and the Gospel Gunslingers reporting from Hidalgo, Chiapas, outside Tapachula on the Guatemala border. Bye-bye.